Let's get started. Number 10. Imagining worst-case scenarios during normal activities. You're driving to work on a sunny Tuesday morning. Everything is fine, birds are singing, life is good. And then your brain goes, what if the brakes fail right now? What if that truck swerves into my lane? What if I left the stove on and my apartment is currently a raging inferno? Psychologists call this catastrophizing. Your mind just jumps to the worst possible conclusion with basically zero evidence. Scientists at MIT found this isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. Your brain's default mode network, the part that activates when you're not focused on anything specific, is constantly running worst-case simulations. It's like having a tiny disaster movie director living in your skull who refuses to take a day off. Makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Our ancestors who imagined the lion hiding in the tall grass probably survived longer than the optimists who wandered in thinking everything would be fine. Problem is, we're now stuck with Stone Age threat detection software, running in a world where the most dangerous thing we encounter is an angry email from our boss. Around 70% of adults report experiencing catastrophic thinking regularly. So, when you're sitting on an airplane imagining engine failures, statistically everyone else on that plane is imagining the exact same thing. Number 9, rehearsing arguments that will never happen. You're in the shower. You're supposed to be washing your hair. Instead, you're absolutely destroying your coworker in a fictional argument that started over their comment about your project last week. You've been working on this comeback for 20 minutes now. You've anticipated their every counter-argument. You've crafted the perfect devastating one-liner. You are the undisputed champion of this confrontation that exists entirely inside your own head. When you're doing mindless tasks like showering or driving, your brain's default mode network kicks in and starts processing unresolved social situations. It's basically a mental fire drill. These rehearsals almost never match reality, though. Research shows we're terrible at predicting how others will respond. That devastating comeback you practiced, the other person will probably just say, okay, and walk away, leaving you standing there with all this unused verbal ammunition. Psychologists call this ruminative imaginary arguing, and some people spend hours each week in these mental confrontations. Winning these fake arguments actually feels satisfying for a moment, which is why your brain keeps scheduling them. You're essentially addicted to pretend victories. Number 8, wondering if everyone secretly hates you. Your brain loves this game. You send a text. Someone takes 4 hours to respond. Obviously, they despise everything about you and have been telling all your mutual friends that you're the worst person alive. That's the only logical explanation for a delayed text response. Psychologists call it the spotlight effect meets rejection sensitivity. A clinical psychologist named Deontay Fuchs found that people who experience rejection during childhood become hypersensitive to perceived social threats as adults. Your brain developed a threat detection system that stayed calibrated for danger long after the actual danger passed. So, when a friend sounds slightly curt in a message, your brain screams, "Red alert." They're mad at you, probably forever. Studies show that people with social anxiety overestimate perceived rejection by around 30%, while simultaneously missing half of positive social signals. Your brain is literally filtering out evidence that people like you while amplifying any hint they don't. If you've ever had this thought, you're definitely not alone. Though your brain will probably find a way to convince you that's a lie, too. Number 7, forgetting someone's name mid-conversation. You've been talking to this person for 10 minutes. You know their dog's name. You know where they went on vacation last year. You know their opinion on pineapple on pizza. You have no idea what their name is. It vanished from your brain approximately 3 seconds after they told you. Neuroscientists call this the Baker paradox. If someone tells you they're a baker, you're way more likely to remember that than if their name is Baker. The profession connects to a rich network of associations in your brain. Bread, pastries, early mornings, flour-covered aprons. The name is just a random label with nothing to hook on to. Your brain treats names as low-priority data and dumps them almost immediately. Research from psychological science shows that people who don't create mental connections to new information forget names almost instantly, and your brain has likely stored their face permanently. You'll recognize them at a grocery store 5 years from now and still have absolutely no idea what to call them. Only about 2% of people can effectively multitask, So when you're busy thinking about what to say next during an introduction, the name goes in one ear and evaporates. Number 6, pretending to understand something you absolutely do not understand. Someone is explaining blockchain to you. They've been talking for several minutes. You're nodding. You're making interested faces. You've said that makes sense twice. You have not understood a single word since they said decentralized. But you're in too deep now. You've committed to this lie. There's no turning back. Psychologists call this social desirability bias combined with pluralistic ignorance. You assume everyone else understands, so you pretend to understand, so you don't look stupid. Meanwhile, half the other people in the room are doing the exact same thing. This behavior starts young. Research on classroom dynamics found that students will nod along and take notes rather than admit confusion, because raising their hand feels more socially risky than being confused. Same pattern continues into adulthood. In meetings, in conversations, in that moment when your mechanic explains what's wrong with your car. You have perfected the art of the comprehension performance while your brain is essentially playing static. Number 5, secretly hoping plans get canceled. You made plans 3 weeks ago. Past you is feeling social and adventurous. Present you is on the couch in sweatpants watching the clock and praying for a last-minute cancellation text. When it arrives, the relief is physical. It washes over you like a warm bath. There's actual neuroscience behind this. Introverts have brains that are more sensitive to dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward and pleasure. Too much stimulation and their systems get overloaded. Psychologist Elaine Aron found that roughly 20% of the population falls into the highly sensitive category, meaning they process sensory information more deeply and get socially exhausted faster than others. When past you made those plans, your brain was doing something psychologists call the planning fallacy. You imagined your future self as more energetic and social than your actual self turns out to be. When the event approaches, your nervous system is already conserving energy for the social marathon ahead. The canceled plan isn't disappointing, it's a gift. If you've ever felt guilty about that relief, don't. Your brain is just doing resource management. Number 4, feeling like a fraud at your own job. You've been doing this job for years. You have the qualifications. You have the experience. You probably have a little certificate on the wall somewhere. And yet every day you walk in, convinced that today is the day they finally figure out. You have no idea what you're doing. Today is the day everyone realizes you've been faking competence this whole time. This is imposter syndrome, and the statistics are wild. Somewhere, between 70 and 82% of people experience these feelings at some point in their lives. The phenomenon was first identified in the high-achieving women, but researchers now know it affects everyone across all genders, professions, and intelligence levels. Albert Einstein reportedly felt like a fraud. So did Maya Angelou after writing 11 books. Your brain does this because of a quirk in how we process success. When things go well, you attribute it to luck or external factors. When things go poorly, that's obviously proof of your inadequacy. Every accomplishment gets dismissed, while every setback gets cataloged as evidence. Around 25 to 30% of high achievers suffer from chronic imposter syndrome. So, look around your office. Statistically, several of your colleagues are also convinced they're frauds. Number 3, judging someone and then immediately feeling guilty about it. You see someone at the grocery store, maybe their outfit is questionable. Maybe they're taking forever in the self-checkout line. Your brain makes an instant judgment. This person is clearly an idiot. And then, about 3 seconds later, the guilt hits. You don't know this person. You have no idea what their life is like. What is wrong with you? This 2-part response makes evolutionary sense. Research from Princeton shows that humans make snap judgments about trustworthiness, intelligence, and competence in less than 100 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. We evolved this ability because quickly assessing strangers could mean the difference between survival and becoming lunch. The guilt that follows is your prefrontal cortex catching up and saying, "Hold on, that assessment was based on literally nothing." Psychologist Jonathan Freeman's research confirmed that these rapid evaluations happen unconsciously and influence everything from who we hire to who we vote for. The fact that you feel guilty about snap judgments means your brain's error correction system is working. You just have a really fast judgmental first draft and a slower, more reasonable editor trying to clean up the mess. Number 2, Zoning out while someone is talking to you. Your friend has been telling you a story for the past 3 minutes. You're nodding at the appropriate moments. You're making eye contact. You appear to be fully engaged. You have absolutely no idea what they've said since they mentioned their coworker named something that started with maybe a J. You've been mentally replanning your entire week. MIT neuroscientists discovered that we spend up to 13% of our waking lives in offline mode, which is just a scientific way of saying zoning out. Some estimates put mind wandering at up to 47% of our waking hours. Your brain's default mode network can hijack your attention during conversations, meetings, even important moments because it considers its internal processing more urgent than whatever you're supposed to be listening to. The weird thing is, research published in Nature Communications found that mind wandering isn't purely negative. It involves many more parts of the brain than scientists previously thought and can actually help with creativity and problem solving. Your brain just doesn't always choose the best moments for these mental excursions. It's like having a helpful assistant who keeps wandering off to file paperwork while you're in the middle of an important client meeting. Number 1, Googling symptoms and diagnosing yourself with everything. You have a headache. A normal, probably dehydration-related headache. But instead of drinking water, you open your browser. 45 minutes later, you're convinced you have 3 rare diseases, 2 of which shouldn't be able to coexist in the same body. You've already mentally written your goodbye letters. This has an actual clinical name, cyberchondria. And it's become so common that studies estimate it costs healthcare systems hundreds of millions in unnecessary appointments annually. Research from the UK found that roughly 1 in 5 medical appointments is now related to internet-induced health anxiety. Your brain is essentially using Google as a panic amplifier. The problem is something called base rate neglect. When you search headache causes, serious conditions appear alongside common ones without context about how rare they actually are. Your brain, already primed for threat detection, latches on to the scary option. Microsoft researchers confirmed that web searches for common symptoms frequently escalate to searches for serious illness, creating anxiety spirals that make the original symptoms worse through stress. So, that muscle twitch you Googled? Probably not a neurological disorder, probably just your body being a body. But your browser history suggests you've been terminally ill approximately 47 times this year. If any of these thoughts sounded familiar, congratulations, your brain is completely normal, weird, anxious, and occasionally working against you, but normal. I'll be making more videos like this in the future, so if you want to feel slightly less alone in your strange internal world, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.